Good morning, Colorado Springs, or the Springs as we call it here. And good morning to the rest of you, no matter where you're waking up. We appreciate you being here with us for American Sunrise. Here on the show, we talk a lot about protecting the values that make this country great. Those values will be faith, family, and freedom. And no organization is doing more to stand up for those values than AMAC, which is the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is a conservative alternative to the AARP, and they offer incredible benefits to their members, benefits that include discounts on things that you use every day, as well as helpful online tools and resources like a subscription to the AMAC magazine. You can join for as little as $1.20 a month with a 5-year membership. If you happen to want to stay informed, save money, and stand up for America, go to amac.us/sunrise and join AMAC today. For more, let's bring in the editor-in-chief of AMAC Newsline, Shane Harris. Shane, good morning. Always good to see you. In the break, we were talking a little bit, and I said, hey, what's some of the things that's on your mind? And you talked about leadership, particularly in light of the crackdown from the Trump administration on Washington, D.C. You think this potentially could set a precedent for really getting ahead of the curve when it comes to crime in other major metropolitan areas?
Yeah, that's right, Terrance. First, thanks for having me. Glad to be here with you this morning. So for a long time, there's been a ton of blue cities that have a crime problem, and Republicans' message has always been, hey, we don't have to live like this. Decline, crime, poverty, it's all a choice, right? It's a choice that we make in our leadership circles. And for a long time, that message hasn't really broken through. But with the Trump administration doing what they're doing in D.C. now, they kind of took over a couple weeks ago, and there's been residents there who have noticed, like, hey, there's no more like teen takeovers going on down the street, right? There's no more shootings that I'm hearing at night. And I think that proof of concept could have a really big impact in other blue cities, because it's one thing to just say, this is a choice, you don't have to live like this. But when you actually see the results of cracking down on crime firsthand, there may be some voters in other cities who look at that and say, that it's not as bad as the Democrats said it would be. There's not some authoritarian takeover. The streets are just safer, and the bad apples are getting put in jail. And so I think, hopefully the optimistic view is that could have a trickle-down effect in other cities throughout the country.
And I would imagine that this is something that's front of mind for many of your AMAC members, not just because they may be a little bit older and want to feel safe in their own neighborhoods, but they also have grandkids who they don't want to be victimized.
Yeah, absolutely. Our older Americans, they've invested so much in this country, right? You think all the way back to the greatest generation that fought in World War II, the baby boomers who built the greatest economy in the history of the world. They don't want to see their country succumb to decline, crime, poverty. And these cities, we should be proud of our cities in America. Places like New York and LA, I mean, they used to mean something. They used to inspire this feeling of greatness and appreciation of the American dream. And I don't think we should give up on that. I don't think that we should just, surrender our cities to crime and these failed far left ideologies. I think we should fight back as conservatives. And we should have a plan to take them back from crime and continue, telling the residents who live there, hey, if you guys just make different leadership choices, you can have different outcomes.
As you're putting together stories on AMAC Online, or the Newsline, excuse me, what are you hearing from many of your viewers, many of the AMAC members, about what they're more concerned about? There's obviously a lot of foreign policy that's in the headline, of course, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Hamas. That's always going to be front of mind. But there's also a lot happening in our own neighborhoods, in our own communities. Are your AMAC viewers and listeners as concerned about some of the foreign policy issues, or is America First really front of mind, not just in terms of policy and politics, but also the actual idea of putting America first?
Yeah, I think America First is definitely still top of mind. I think it will always be top of mind. Not to say that foreign policy isn't important. I think our members really appreciate some of the historic progress that President Trump has made. But if you notice how President Trump has done it, he's done it in America First way, right? When he had the summit with Putin, where did Putin come? He came to America, to Alaska. The European leaders and President Zelensky came to him in Washington, D.C. And I think that's very significant because, America First doesn't mean we don't have any interest in foreign policy, or that President Trump has no interest in foreign policy, it means that foreign policy needs to be conducted in a way that puts the interests of the United States first. And ultimately, the United States does benefit when the rest of the world is peaceful. Now, that doesn't mean that we should sacrifice our own domestic priorities, to help out, foreign countries if that's what it comes down to. But it does mean that if he can do things to promote peace, to promote trade, I mean, he said this many times. When he brokered the conflict between India and Pakistan, what did he say? He said, "This is about trade. Do you want to spend your time fighting each other? Do you want to trade and get rich?" And I think that's a very appealing pitch to other countries, and it can help the United States as well.
Before I let you go, talk about some of the issues that AMAC members and AMAC in general is advocating for, is lobbying for.
Yeah, well, how much time you got? Because the list is pretty long, from election
I've got 3 minutes
integrity.
and 46, 45, 44 seconds. Have at it.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So the list is very long. Our AMAC members are very engaged on issues from election security to lowering taxes. I mean, like I said, the list goes on, and especially at Newsline, we're covering that every day. And through our advocacy efforts, we're very active on Capitol Hill. We were huge in passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so for anybody out there who's watching, who wants to get involved in issues like that, as you mentioned in the intro, advocating for values like family, faith, freedom, AMAC and AMAC Newsline are the place to be. We're putting out news stories every day. We're on here with you all very frequently talking about the work that we're doing. We've got a big boot camp for patriots coming up on September 27th, so you can check that out on our website. It's going to be a huge gathering ahead of the elections there in Virginia. And that's going to be great. I know we've got some RAV hosts who are going to be there, and signups are still available. There's a limited number of slots, but again, that's September 27th, and you can check that out on amac.us.
Shane, always good to talk to you, my friend. Great information as always. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a case of the plague has been detected in California. So what was the cause? We've got the details on that next here on American Sunrise.